What happens when a crime goes unsolved for 58 years? When the victim's family waits, hopes, and grieves, only to find the truth decades after the killer is long gone. This is the chilling true story of Marise Chiverella, and the groundbreaking discovery that shocked everyone. On March 18, 1964 in Hazleton, Pennsylvania, 9-year-old Marise Chiverella set off to school, her arms laden with canned goods for her teacher. She never made it. By afternoon, her lifeless body was discovered in a coal mining pit, hands bound, a victim of unspeakable violence. The town was shaken, the case baffled investigators, and for 58 years the question lingered: who could commit such a heinous act? Despite decades of relentless investigation, the identity of Marise's killer remained a mystery. Over 230 Pennsylvania State Police officers worked the case, amassing thousands of pages of evidence, yet no arrest was made. Theories abounded, but the truth eluded them all. Then in 2020, an unexpected ally emerged. Eric Schubert, an 18-year-old college student with a passion for genealogy, reached out to the Pennsylvania State Police. What began as a volunteer effort soon turned into an obsession. Schubert meticulously constructed family trees, tracing distant relatives, and using genetic genealogy to narrow down potential suspects. His breakthrough came when he identified James Paul Forte, a local bartender who had died in 1980. In 2022, authorities exhumed Forte's remains. DNA extracted from his body was a match to evidence collected from Marise's clothing. The case that had haunted Hazleton for nearly 6 decades was finally solved. Tonight, we delve into the chilling details of Marise Chiverella's murder, the tireless pursuit of justice, and the groundbreaking role of genetic genealogy in solving one of Pennsylvania's most notorious cold cases. Stay with us as we uncover the truth behind a decades-old mystery. The case went cold, and for decades the identity of Marise's killer remained a mystery. Her family, devastated by the loss, was left with unanswered questions. The community of Hazleton, once a place where doors were left unlocked, was forever changed. The murder had shattered their sense of safety. Then, in 2018, a breakthrough came. The Pennsylvania State Police partnered with Parabon NanoLabs, a DNA technology and genetic genealogy company. They began analyzing DNA evidence collected from Marise's clothing, uploading it to public genealogy databases. But the case remained unsolved. In 2020, an unexpected ally emerged. Eric Schubert, an 18-year-old history student at Elizabethtown College, reached out to the Pennsylvania State Police. With a passion for genealogy, Schubert had previously assisted in solving cold cases. He offered his services to the police, who, to their surprise, accepted. Schubert embarked on an exhaustive search, constructing over 50 family trees to trace distant relatives of the perpetrator. His breakthrough came when he identified a man who had immigrated from Italy to Hazleton in 1904, James Paul Forte's grandfather. Schubert then focused on descendants who had been in the Hazleton area when Marise was killed. Forte and his brother became prime suspects. But there was a complication. Forte's brother had died years earlier. However, his wife still had an old hairbrush belonging to her late husband. A DNA test of the hairbrush ruled him out as the perpetrator. This left James Paul Forte as the sole suspect. Forte had lived just 6 or 7 blocks from Marise. A bartender and bar supplies salesman, he had no known connection to Marise or her family. He had been arrested in 1974 on charges of rape and sexual assault but was given a plea deal for the less serious conviction of aggravated assault and sentenced to 1-year probation. He was arrested again in 1978 on charges of reckless endangerment and harassment. Forte died in 1980 at the age of 38 from a reported heart attack at the bar where he worked. With Forte's identification, the next step was to confirm his involvement in Marise's murder. Authorities sought a judge's approval to exhume Forte's remains for DNA testing. The judge granted the request. DNA extracted from Forte's body was a match to evidence collected from Marise's clothing. The case that had haunted Hazleton for nearly 6 decades was finally solved. But questions lingered. What drove James Paul Forte to commit such a heinous act? Why did he choose Marise? And perhaps most haunting of all, what if Eric Schubert hadn't taken an interest in a decades-old cold case? As the community grappled with the revelation, the Chiverella family found a semblance of closure. Her sister, Carmen Marie Ratke, expressed that while they would always feel the emptiness and sorrow of Marise's absence, they could now rest knowing the truth. Thanks to the Pennsylvania State Police, justice has been served today, she said. But the story doesn't end here. The case of Marise Chiverella's murder is a testament to the power of persistence, the advancements in forensic science, and the unexpected heroes who step forward when least expected. In the next segment, we'll delve into the aftermath, how the community, the family, and the investigators coped with the resolution of a case that had remained unsolved for nearly 6 decades. Stay with us. The revelation of James Paul Forte as Marise Chiverella's killer sent ripples through Hazleton, Pennsylvania, a town forever marked by the tragedy of 1964. For the Chiverella family, the news was both a painful reminder and a bittersweet relief. Ronald Chiverella, Marise's brother, expressed a sense of closure, acknowledging that while full closure was unattainable, knowing the identity of the perpetrator brought some peace. The community, too, grappled with mixed emotions. The long-awaited answers brought a sense of justice but also reopened old wounds. Local residents, many of whom had lived through the uncertainty of the unsolved case, found themselves reflecting on the past and the impact the tragedy had on their town. For law enforcement, the resolution was a testament to perseverance. Corporal Mark Barron, who had worked on the case for years, remarked on the emotional weight of the breakthrough. The identification of Forte marked the culmination of decades of relentless effort, a moment of vindication for all those who had dedicated themselves to seeking justice for Marise. Yet questions lingered. What drove James Paul Forte to commit such a heinous act? Was there more to his past that could shed light on his motivations? And perhaps most hauntingly, how many other lives had been affected by his actions, known and unknown? As the community sought to heal, the story of Marise Chiverella's murder and its resolution through genetic genealogy underscored the evolving nature of criminal investigations. It highlighted the importance of technological advancements in solving cold cases and the enduring impact of a single act of kindness, a college student's dedication to justice. If this story moved you, please like and subscribe for more in-depth explorations of true crime cases. Your support helps us continue bringing these important stories to light. The resolution of Marise Chiverella's case marked a pivotal moment in forensic science and criminal justice. It underscored the transformative power of investigative genetic genealogy in solving cold cases that had long been deemed unsolvable. But what does this mean for the future of crime solving? Investigative genetic genealogy has revolutionized the way law enforcement approaches cold cases. By utilizing publicly accessible DNA databases, investigators can now trace distant familial connections, leading to the identification of perpetrators decades after their crimes. This method has been instrumental in solving numerous high-profile cases, including the identification of the Golden State Killer. However, the use of such technology raises significant ethical and privacy concerns. Critics argue that accessing genetic information from public databases without consent infringes upon individuals' privacy rights. The debate centers on the balance between solving heinous crimes and protecting personal genetic data. As this technology becomes more prevalent, questions about consent, data security, and the potential for misuse will continue to be at the forefront of discussions. Moreover, the involvement of private citizens like Eric Schubert in criminal investigations has sparked a conversation about the role of the public in law enforcement. While Schubert's contributions were invaluable, his case also highlights the potential for both positive impact and unintended consequences when non-professionals engage in criminal investigations. It raises the question: should there be more structured pathways for civilians to assist in solving crimes, and if so, what safeguards are necessary? The Chiverella case also brought attention to the limitations of traditional forensic databases. While CODIS, the FBI's combined DNA index system, contains millions of profiles, it primarily includes data from convicted offenders and arrestees. This leaves a significant gap in identifying perpetrators who have never been caught or convicted. Investigative genetic genealogy offers a complementary tool, expanding the pool of potential matches and increasing the chances of solving cold cases. As we reflect on the Chiverella case, it's clear that the integration of advanced genetic technologies into criminal investigations is not just a trend but a paradigm shift. It challenges us to reconsider our notions of privacy, justice, and the role of technology in our society. But as we embrace these advancements, we must also tread carefully. The line between justice and privacy is delicate, and the implications of overstepping could be profound. In our next segment, we'll delve deeper into the ethical dilemmas posed by forensic genetic genealogy and explore how different jurisdictions are navigating this complex terrain. As the story of Marise Chiverella's tragic death finally reached its resolution, the impact rippled far beyond the small town of Hazleton, Pennsylvania. The 58 years of unanswered questions, pain, and uncertainty had been replaced with an overwhelming sense of justice. But for Marise's family, the answers came at a tremendous cost, a cost measured not just in years, but in the emotional toll of living through a lifetime of grief without closure. The exhumation of James Paul Forte's remains, and the subsequent confirmation of his identity as Marise's killer, closed the final chapter of a case that had haunted Hazleton for over 5 decades. His death in 1980 meant that he would never face trial for the brutal crime. Still, the identity of her murderer offered Marise's family the truth they had been denied for so long. Marise's mother, though heartbroken by the painful discovery, expressed a deep sense of relief. It wasn't the resolution she had hoped for, but it was the one she could now accept, knowing that the person who had so violently taken her daughter's life was finally identified. It was bittersweet, but there was a kind of peace in knowing that even though James Forte could no longer be held accountable in life, his role in her daughter's murder would never be forgotten. The town of Hazleton, too, experienced a collective sense of closure. For nearly 60 years, it had been an open wound in the community, an unsolved mystery that cast a shadow over everyone who lived there. Marise's story was taught in local schools, her image etched into the town's collective memory. Her murder was the cold case that never left the minds of the townspeople. Now, at last, the answers they had been seeking were within reach. The breakthrough in the case did more than just answer questions. It shed light on the incredible power of modern forensic science and the promise of genetic genealogy. Thanks to advancements in DNA technology, this case was solved not through traditional means, but by tracing distant family connections and finding a link where there seemed to be none. What was once thought impossible became a reality, and the case of Marise Chiverella stands as a testament to how far science has come in helping solve the most elusive of cold cases. This case also underscores the importance of never giving up on justice. Eric Schubert, the young college student who volunteered his time and expertise, epitomized the kind of dedication that often goes unnoticed in the world of crime solving. His obsession with solving the case of Marise Chiverella is a reminder that justice can come from the most unexpected sources, even when it seems like all hope is lost. Yet, while Marise's case has been resolved, countless other victims remain without answers. This story serves as a stark reminder of the importance of persistence, both from law enforcement and the communities affected by these unsolved crimes. For every case that has been solved, there are still those waiting for their day of reckoning. As we reflect on this case, we can't help but ask, how many other stories like Marise's are waiting to be uncovered? And how many more victims are still waiting for the justice they deserve? With the technology now available, we can only hope that more cold cases will be solved. Genetic genealogy is a tool that's transforming criminal investigations, and as more people embrace its power, it may one day become the norm for solving mysteries that once seemed impossible to crack. But this is not just a story about forensic breakthroughs or the dedication of one young man, it's also about the power of community, of never letting go of the memory of a loved one. Marise's memory lives on, not just in the hearts of her family, but in the legacy of justice that her case has helped pave the way for. Now we turn to you. What do you think about the role of genetic genealogy in solving cold cases? Should this be a tool we see more widely used in criminal investigations? How far should we go to bring justice to the victims of unsolved crimes? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Let's start a conversation about the future of justice. If you found this story as haunting and powerful as we did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more gripping true crime stories. Share this video with your friends, because there are still many who don't know about the power of modern forensic science, and how it's giving hope to the families of those whose cases were once thought impossible to solve. Thank you for staying with us through the story of Marise Chiverella. Until next time, stay curious and stay vigilant.